it is now time for the watch party.
Yay.
We are starting a new watch party, which is
so
crazy.
Excited about this one.
We just did Fooly Cooley, and now we're on to another one that's been on the polls for a long time. Kids on the Slope, the show that's not about skiing. It's about jazz.
And a slope.
And there is a slope in it, but not a ski slope.
Confirmed.
So,
Episode 1.
I just want to say off the bat, so I was so resistant to this show being the watch party because I was such a baby brat about the fact that it's not a skiing show. Like, honestly, that was a huge roadblock in my brain where I was like, I can't even watch this show because it's not a skiing show.
You wanted Better Off Dead, the anime. That's what you wanted. You wanted John Cusack in 2D form. Although that does happen in that movie. There is a thing where his sketches come alive and talk to him.
Excellent.
So there's anime in that.
Oh,
So, okay, well, I can always do that. But, so I had this, I mean, like, I'm totally over-exaggerating the amount of brattiness I felt. But I was resistant because in my mind it was something totally what it is not. But this show grabbed me immediately with episode 1. I'm already super interested. I was never a musician. I was told by my 3rd grade music teacher that I was bad at it, so I never pursued it. And so I've always felt very alienated by music shows, which is why I have not seen K-On! And why Sound Euphonium failed to grab me. So I just have this whole block in my head for it. But this one gets me.
This is quality.
Yeah. What is your first impression before we get into the Facebook comments?
As soon as first off, I knew there was going to be music involved after reading the synopsis. But as soon as he started playing the piano, I just started getting like these feelings again. I'm like, I want to play piano. And I was looking at my alto sax in the corner. I'm like, maybe. And I just wanted, just maybe want to. And then when they were having their jam session, why not? I just miss band so much.
Yeah. I've always wanted to play piano. I just never did after that teacher. So
we'll teach you.
Yeah. So yeah. What about you, Megan?
I really loved it. The animation quality is fantastic. I'm loving the bromance between Kaoru and what is his name? Sentaro. Yeah, I'm liking that bromance. This is what Yuri on Ice has done to me. At one point in the second episode,
I was like, are they in love?
Well, at one point, Sentaro, Ritsuko, or whatever her name is, mentions that Sentaro is very special somehow. And I leaned in and I was like, yes, but in what way?
I don't know. It's special.
But no, it's their legitimate friendship. Sort of an unlikely friendship between these 3 characters, which is really cute, and they're bonding over jazz. And jazz is always hit or miss with me. It's either really good or it sounds like just
grating.
It can be grating, so it can be one way or the other. But this is making me want to go out and buy some of these old jazz records.
Dude. Oh yeah.
They were dropping some names.
That was that record he showed off in the at the store was I looked it up immediately. And then I just listened to the whole thing.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So I'm like, good job, Kids on the Slope. I think I'm going to start listening to more smooth jazz.
Yeah, and then I can feel like Lisa Simpson and Bleeding Gums Murphy. Anyway, so, and of course, I love Sentaro. That's obvious. Okay,
those
so
back muscles. When he was just rowing, you're just like, keep rowing.
I was like, wow, he gets into fights and doesn't like school. That's really bad for me. I still like him.
Ritsuko's really cute too. She's not obnoxiously like what I call Genki girl, where it's like way too much energy and klutzing out. Like she's
just buttoned up and together, and it's not obnoxious.
Yes, she's a good role model for her fellow students.
Yes,
I like her. I approve.
That's why she's a class rep.
Yeah, very good pick for class rep. So anyway, from Naruto Toro in the Facebook group, which again is facebook.com/groups/IGN Anime Club. He says, first things first, no skiing, and the only slope in the show has no snow on it.
Yep.
Now that that's out of the way, we can explore this music-filled world and the dysfunctional people in it, like our protagonist Nishimi Kaoru, an introverted kid with a messed-up extended family and an affinity for piano and freckled girls, or his better, more chaotic half, Sentaro Kawabuchi, the classroom's designated bully with a heart of gold and a proclivity for rooftops and either fighting or getting drenched by the rain in the rain by them. Well, it's fine. We also have Ritsuko-chan, the object of Kaoru's affection, and Town Cutie, who just so happens to own a music store. Yes, kids, back in the day, those were a thing. And a good eye for boys that look better without their glasses. This is a true Yuri successor.
Yeah, it really is.
Together, this trio of eclectic personalities come together to create the right environment for the controlled chaos that is jazz and its cathartic yet soul-crushing melodies. That's a pretty good summary of what happens. Basically, Kaoru moves to sort of a backwoods-seeming small town And he's not stoked about it because apparently his extended family are a bunch of jerks. Not apparently, they are. I hate what's her face, Minako or whatever. I hate her.
His guardian?
His aunt, his cousin. I hate her.
Oh, her. Yeah, she's awful.
Just awful.
I don't like his aunt either, but his cousin is just like, slap her.
Yeah. And then episode 2, I love the swimming thing, and I loved the very end where Sentaro saves the girl from those guys, and like as soon as she looks at him, he's like, "Doki doki." I'm like, if only I had that power. So episode 2, Tyler DeBoer on the Facebook group says, "Oh, Kaoru's imagination, such funny thoughts. But really, Kaoru, you really thought water would do something during the fight? Oh yeah, he tries to splash those guys."
And then runs away immediately.
I know, I was like, what?
You do what you gotta do, all right? He improvised.
Nerd.
He tripped into it, and then he's like, well, we gotta run with this.
Also, Sentaro just jumped a flight of stairs and kicked the dude
that
in the chest.
That was amazing.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah, he did. Continuing with Tyler, this episode for me was interesting because being a Christian, I don't really see much of that in anime. I know Christianity in Japan is about 1% or about 1 to 2 million people, so it's always a treat to see it pop up like the small church service scene. And it's really cute how each of our leads are finding love. I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah.
I mean, Kaoru seems really surprised when he finds out they're both Christians, which makes sense if it's
but that
a minority.
that has a history in Kyushu, so I actually like that they touched upon that.
Oh, really?
So because they had because of Portuguese and everyone they came. And they spread Christianity, and then it was stamped out by I think it was tolerated by Nobunaga, but it was stamped out by what's his bucket afterwards? Whose name I can't think of.
What's his bucket?
Yeah, Sanu. He was always called Monkey by everyone, and then Tokugawa. So it got stamped out in a lot of places, but it had a foothold, I believe, in Kyushu, if I'm remembering my Japanese history correctly. So when I saw that, I was like, that's a really cool reference to the fact that there are still Christians in Japan. They probably are in Kyushu. So
yeah,
that is awesome.
I didn't expect to see a church in Japan. Anyway.
Yeah, like when I didn't think of anything of it because what's her face, Ritsuko is like, oh yeah, let's meet behind the church, and in my head that's a totally normal sentence because I used to live in Berkeley, and there's a street that was just all churches, and it was a great Pokestop street, and it was awesome. But like, it's just such a normal sentence to me, be like, there's a church everywhere. But then it occurred to me that, of course, that's not. I mean, like, a shrine would be a more normal sentence than church. And
Hideyoshi, that's who I was trying to thinking of. Toyotomi Hideyoshi.
All right, what's his bucket?
What's his bucket? What's his bucket? Everyone knows who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I also like, just speaking of the rarity of Christianity, I think jazz is a really interesting pick combined with that because its roots are in America. And so there's a lot of Western feeling things combined with a lot of Eastern feeling things, like the town and the actual slope that they walk up every day to get to school, and the actual like layout of the town is super rural Japanese, like to a T. And then they have this kind of like jazz club, which is like, oh, I'm in the 20s in New York. So I liked that the combination of things doesn't feel jarring. And then I do like how Kaoru, when they're swimming, is like, Sentaro, do you like her? Internally. And then he sees Sentaro like fall in love with this girl before his eyes, and I could like sense his relief. Like, oh, thank goodness this girl showed up. So and then we have some overall thoughts from the Facebook group, starting with Carter Gurkey. I like to see bad people get beat up, so if the show continues to deliver on that front, I'll keep watching LMAO.
I agree.
What a great opening to this comment. I like to see bad people get beat up.
Beating people up is not okay unless it's prompto. Anyway.
There was actually there was a lot of fighting too, which is interesting.
Yeah. To be honest, the whole situation seems a little unrealistic to me. I find it kind of hard to believe these very different characters would be so close after such little time. That being said, it is an enjoyable show so far. Even if Sentaro and Kaoru's relationship seems unrealistic, it is fun to see the two opposing types together. My favorite part of the show at this point is the music and the animation that accompanies it. I've seen a lot of music in anime, but this animation seems so unique. The movement in these scenes is just as dynamic as the jazzy music, and the two fit together perfectly. I'm looking forward to seeing the backstory of these characters as well as the growth of their relationships. Should be a fun watch.
It's the power of music.
I don't know if I would necessarily agree that it's unrealistic for them to kind of latch onto each other. Sentaro definitely is ostracized by his class because he is the class bully, but he seems to just be acting out because he doesn't want to be there. And then he meets this kid who doesn't care that, like, he sees him, he's not in, like, when they first meet, he doesn't know that he's the class bully. Kaoru has no idea. So he talks to him like a normal person, and this is the first guy who's not afraid of him. And for Kaoru, this is the first guy who doesn't make him actually nauseous. So
yeah,
it makes sense that you would latch on to somebody like that.
And in real life, I think we've all had those friends we just immediately, for whatever reason, we click with. We talked about that with Yuri on Ice. It's just like sometimes you just have this chemistry, for lack of a better word, with other people, and you immediately see, like Ali said, like they talk to each other like normal people. There was no prejudgment going into it. So Sentaro didn't know he's a new guy from the city, and Kaoru didn't know that this was a class bully, so they immediately clicked because they gave each other basically a chance.
Yeah, and
it
these
works.
are two people who weren't treated normally, because Kaoru has this thing where he gets like physically ill all the time, which means people aren't going to treat you normally. And then Sentaro has he's in a small town, and having grown up in a small town like that, like, by the time you get to 8th grade, everyone knows everything about you, and there's just nothing you can do about that. And so that's sort of the sense I got from him.
Yeah, but I also think that because Kaoru, they're whispering, oh, he's some rich kid from the city. So they already were like kind of bullying him just for like a walk. And he's a Navy brat, and so he keeps bouncing around. You can see why he gets nauseous because he's anxious. Like, I think it's a form of anxiety.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to see him get a friend who can defend him against those jerks who like tied him up and were like, let's pants him. And I was like, oh man, you need a butt kicking. And who came to save the day?
Right.
His best friend forever.
Yes, BFF.
They're gonna be veterans.
Also, I love that, like, a pantsing is the, like, what's worse than hitting him over the head with a baseball bat? Pantsing. I was like, are you serious? This is why you wear cute underwear all the time. That's why.
There it is.
In case a bully wants to pants you.
Yes.
That's the moral of the story. Anyway, Benjamin Ashby says, to whoever voted for Kids on the Slope, thank you. I'm not even done with the first episode, and I am in love. It's jazz, it's anime, it's wonderful.
Yep.
That's pretty much how I feel. Like, I'm really glad this won, because I probably wouldn't have watched it because I'm stubborn. And now I'm so happy.
I've been looking for an excuse to watch a show. People keep telling me that it's a really great anime, and so it's so happy because every time it comes up at our polls on our Facebook group, I always throw my weight behind it. So when it finally won, I was like, yes, now I have a reason to sit down and finally watch it.
After watching the first 2 episodes, I wanted to keep going. Like, it was hard not to keep going.
Yeah.
I accidentally may have watched 1 or 2 more. I got a little ahead because I was like, I want to know what happens.
I know, right?
Well, that's a good Megway. So those were episodes 1 and 2 of Kids on the Slope. Next week we'll be watching 3 and 4. You can watch this on Crunchyroll, Hulu, and I think Anime News Network or something. I don't know. If you go on because.moe, you can find where you can watch things. But for sure, Crunchyroll and Hulu.
For sure, Crunchyroll. Yep.
And yeah, so please be sure to send us your comments. You can do that in the Facebook group at facebook.com/group/IGN Anime Club. You can tweet using the hashtag IGNanime, IGNIME, or you can email us at IGN_Anime Club at IGN.com.